We have seen in the previous video for the case of perfect electric conductor that the reflected field and the incident field forms what we are calling a standing wave pattern, such that the electric field at the interface between the dielectric and the perfect conductor was zero, and this zero is repeated at a distance lambda by 2 from the interface, lambda and 3 lambda over 2 and so on. And we said that the electric field in this case represents a standing wave pattern of sine beta 1 z. What will be the situation if the perfect electric conductor is replaced by any medium, any other medium? So in this case, the reflection coefficient gamma will not be minus 1. It will be less than unity, and it will have phase phi, for example. So also, in the general case, there will be in region 1 incident and reflected fields. And this incident and reflected field will introduce also standing wave pattern. But in this case, this standing wave pattern will not reach to the value of 0. So we will have E maximum and E minimum. And E minimum is not 0. And the location of the maximum value of the field and the locations of the minimum value of the fields would be fixed in the space to introduce what we are calling standing wave pattern. So in this video, we are going to study the general case for the standing wave pattern for the reflection of a general beam. So we say that in cases where the amplitude of gamma is less than unity, some energy is transmitted into the second region and some is reflected. So region 1 therefore supports a field that's composed of both traveling wave and standing wave. Medium 1 is assumed to perfect dielectric medium. So region 1 is assumed to be perfect dielectric medium where alpha, the attenuation coefficient, is 0. But region 2 may be any material. So in this case, the total electric field phase in region 1, Ex1 total, would equal the Ex1 incident, Ex1 plus Ex1 minus the reflected phasor. So the incident phasor plus the reflected phasor. And effectively, the incident phasor can be represented as the amplitude Ex10 plus multiplied by the forward propagation constant e to the power minus j beta 1z, while the reflected phasor, it can be represented as the reflection coefficient gamma multiplied by the amplitude of the incident field Ex10 plus multiplied by the backward propagation constant e to the power j beta 1z. So the total field in region 1 in this case will be obtained as this, where gamma for the general case is eta 2 minus eta 1 over eta 2 plus eta 1, and it has a magnitude and phase. So magnitude of gamma and phase of gamma. So gamma in general is a complex value. Alright? Now we are interested to obtain the total field in region 1 to obtain the standing wave pattern. So in this case, the total electric field in region 1 can be obtained by taking the amplitude of the incident electric field as a common factor. So it is Ex10 plus multiplied by e to the power minus j beta 1z plus the magnitude of gamma multiplied by e to the power j beta 1z plus phi, where phi is the phase of the reflection coefficient. We can simplify this bracket by taking a common factor e to the power j phi over 2. So by taking a common factor e to the power j phi over 2, so we will multiply the first term by e to the power minus j phi over 2. And here instead of phi, it would be e to the j power phi over 2. So all what we have done now, this bracket, we have taken e to the j power phi over 2 as a common factor to obtain this bracket. Now we are going to study this bracket separately by adding and subtracting another term equal 1 minus the magnitude of gamma multiplied by e to the power minus j beta z. So we will get this bracket here. Excuse me. We are going to take the original bracket. The original bracket here. We are going to take the original bracket. The original bracket and add 1 minus modulus gamma e to the power minus j beta z. We have added this term and subtract the same term. So we are going to subtract this term from here. Okay? So by subtracting this term from this term, here e to the power minus j beta z multiplied by 1. Here e to the power minus j beta z. So by subtracting, this term would be eliminated. Here plus magnitude of gamma e to the power j beta z plus phi over 2. Here by subtracting, minus minus, it would be plus magnitude of gamma e to the power minus j beta z. So this would be magnitude of gamma e to the power j beta z plus phi plus magnitude of gamma e to the power minus j beta z. Assume that we are going to take magnitude of gamma as a common factor. So it would be e to the power minus j beta z plus phi and e to the power minus j beta z. We are going to take e to the power j phi over 2 as a common factor. So in this case, e to the power j beta z plus phi over 2. And here e to the power minus j beta z minus e to the power j phi over 2. So effectively, this term corresponds to this bracket minus this value. And because we subtracted this value, we added this value once again. Okay? So all this bracket can be replaced by this term. Now, if we are going to be interested in instantaneous electric field, so we multiply this phasor quantity by e to the power j omega t and take the real value of this quantity. So the instantaneous total electric field in this case, it would be 1 minus the modulus of gamma multiplied by the amplitude of the incident electric field Ex1 plus multiplied by the real of e to the power minus j beta z multiplied by e to the power j omega t, which is cosine omega t minus beta 1 z. Okay? So this is the real part of the first term. The real part of the second term, the term inside the bracket can be represented as 2 multiplied by cosine beta z plus phi over 2. 2 cosine beta 1 z plus phi over cosine beta 1 z plus phi over 2. So this term is these 2 cosine. And we have the amplitude of the magnitude, we have the amplitude of the incident electric field. The remaining part is e to the power j omega t multiplied by e to the power j phi over 2. By taking the real part of this, it would be cosine omega t plus phi over 2. Now, the first term, the function cosine includes in its argument both time and z, both time and space, and time minus space. This corresponds to forward propagating function. On the other hand, the second term, the spatial dependence, is separated from the time dependence. So this is cosine beta z, this is cosine omega t, and this multiplied by this. So the second term represents a standing wave. So the first term corresponds to a traveling wave, and the second term corresponds to standing wave. That's what we have obtained till now. The instantaneous, or the phasor of the total electric field is Ex10 plus the amplitude of the incident field multiplied by the forward propagation function plus the magnitude of the reflection coefficient multiplied by the backward propagation function with the phase shift phi, which can be represented as traveling wave component plus standing wave component. The question now, what will be the maximum value of the electric field and the minimum value of the electric field? Effectively, the maximum value of the electric field is obtained when the first term of the forward propagating function would be in phase with the backward propagating function. So when the phase e to the power minus j beta 1 z equal the phase e to the j power beta 1 z plus phi, so these are in phase. So in this case, the total electric field will be 1 plus the modulus of gamma. So the maximum value when both the angle of the forward and backward propagating wave are in phase. So in this case, the maximum field would be 1 plus gamma multiplied by the amplitude of the incident electric field. On the other hand, the minimum value occurs when the amplitude of the forward propagating wave and the amplitude of the backward propagating wave are out of phase. So when the phase of this exponential term is out of phase of this exponential term, so in this case, the minimum amplitude would be 1 minus gamma multiplied by the amplitude of the incident. Effectively, the peaks occurs when this angle equals this angle in amplitude. So when beta 1z equals beta 1z plus phi, minus beta 1z equal beta 1z plus phi, or beta 1z plus phi plus 2 pi, or beta 1z plus phi plus 2 multiplied by 2 pi, and so on. So in general, beta 1z plus phi plus 2m pi, where m equals 0, 1, 2, 3 integer number. So in all these cases, the phase of the first term equals the phase of the second term. So this would be 1 plus modulus gamma. So according to this, we can say that the location of the peaks can be determined by getting this beta 1z on the other side. So 2 beta 1z minus 2 beta 1 z equal phi plus 2m pi. And effectively, beta 1 is 2 pi over lambda 1. So we say that the location of z maximum would equal minus 1 over 2 beta 1 multiplied by phi plus 2m pi. On the other hand, the location of the minimum occurs when the first term or the forward propagating term would be out of phase of the backward propagating term. So this means that there is a phase shift between them equal pi. So means that the angle minus beta 1 z would equal the angle beta 1 z plus phi plus a phase shift pi. And in addition to the phase shift pi, we can add any multiple of 2 pi. So we can say plus 2m pi, where m equals 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Because the complete cycle of 2 pi doesn't change the angle. So the location of the minimum of the electric field are located at, we can take this beta 1 z in this side. So this would be 2 beta 1 z. So z minimum would be minus 1 over 2 beta multiplied by phi plus pi plus 2m pi, or in other words, can be phi plus 2m plus 1 pi. So the difference between here and here, we have add another pi. Okay? So these are the location of the maximum of the electric field, and these are the location of the minimum of the electric field. And effectively, as we mentioned in the case of perfect electric conductor, the location of the maximum of the electric field corresponds to the location of the minimum of the magnetic field. And the location of the minimum of the electric field corresponds to the location of the maximum of the magnetic field, such that the electric field and magnetic field, their locations for maximum and minimum are interlaced. Now, according to this, we found that the maximum value of the electric field along the standing wave pattern is 1 plus gamma multiplied by the amplitude of the incident field, while the minimum value is 1 minus the amplitude of gamma multiplied by the amplitude of the incident field. We are going to define a new parameter called standing wave pattern or standing wave ratio, which is the value of the peak to the minimum of this standing wave. So the standing wave ratio is equal the peak value of the electric field, or the maximum value of the electric field, over the minimum value of the electric field. So according to this, it is 1 plus the magnitude of the reflection coefficient over 1 minus the magnitude of the reflection coefficient. And it should be noted that the standing wave ratio is a real quantity. It is not a complex. And it depends on the magnitude of the reflection coefficient. So the phase of the reflection coefficient doesn't play any role in the standing wave ratio. Okay? And effectively, the magnitude of the reflection coefficient, the minimum value of reflection coefficient is 0. And the maximum value of reflection coefficient is unity. So if the reflection coefficient is 0, the standing wave ratio is 1 plus 0 over 1 minus 0, it would be 1. On the other hand, the maximum value of reflection coefficient is unity. So in this case, the standing wave ratio 1 plus 1, 2 over 1 minus 1, 0. So 2 over 0 to be infinity. So standing wave ratio is greater than or equal unity, which corresponds to gamma equals 0, and less than or equal infinity, which corresponds to gamma equal unity. So because gamma is this unity, standing wave ratio is always positive and greater than or equal unity. As an example, assume that we have an incident plane wave with electric field have a magnitude 100 volt per meter at a frequency 3 gigahertz, and this is incident in medium 1 with epsilon r equal 4, on a medium 2 with epsilon r equal 9, and it is required to find out the reflection coefficient, the standing wave ratio. So in this case, the propagation constant beta 1 in medium 1 would equal omega square root mu 1 epsilon 1. So omega is 2 by the frequency, 2 by multiplied by 3 multiplied by 10 to the power 9. So omega is 6 pi multiplied by 10 to the power 9. And beta 1 would be omega square root mu epsilon. So mu naught epsilon naught is 1 over 3 multiplied by 10 to the power 8. And here square root epsilon r 1. So square root 4, it would be 2. So beta 1 is 40 pi radian per meter. So lambda 1 is 2 pi over beta 1. So the wavelength in medium 1 in this case would be 2 pi over 40 pi. So it is 5 centimeters. So the wavelength in medium 1 in this case is 5 centimeters. And eta 1, the intrinsic impedance of medium 1, is square root mu over epsilon. Effectively, it is mu naught over epsilon r. So it is 120 pi over square root epsilon r. So it is 60 pi. So eta 1 in this case is 60 pi. In a similar way, we can find out beta 2 would be omega square root mu epsilon 2. So it would be 60 pi. And lambda 2 would be 2 pi over beta 2. So 2 pi over 60 pi is 3.33 centimeters. And eta 2 is the square root of mu over epsilon. So it would be square root of mu naught over epsilon r. So it is 120 pi over square root 9. So square root 9 is 3. 120 pi over 3, it would be 40 pi. So we have all the parameters of medium 1 and medium 2 in this case. Now we say that the reflection coefficient gamma is eta 2 minus eta 1 over eta 2 plus eta 1. So it is 40 pi minus 60 pi over 40 pi plus 60 pi. So it is minus 0.2. So the reflection coefficient has a magnitude 0.2 and phase equal pi. Now, the standing wave pattern, the minimum electric field, it would be 1 minus the amplitude of the reflection coefficient multiplied by the amplitude of the incident field. So 1 minus 0.2, the amplitude, 1 minus 0.2, it is 0.8 multiplied by 100. So the minimum electric field of the standing wave pattern in region 1, it would be 80 volt per meter. On the other hand, the maximum electric field, or the peak of the maximum of the standing wave pattern, it would be 1 plus the magnitude of the reflection coefficient. The magnitude of the reflection coefficient is 0.2. 1 plus 0.2 would be 1.2 multiplied by the amplitude of the incident electric field. So 1.2 multiplied by 100, it would be 120 volt per meter. And the standing wave pattern, it would be ET maximum over ET minimum, or in other words, it would be 1 plus the magnitude of the reflection coefficient over 1 minus the magnitude of reflection coefficient would be 1.2 over 0.8. So the standing wave pattern in this case, it would be 1.5. Now, the phase shift of the reflection coefficient is pi. So effectively, the first minimum starts as the interface between the two media. So if we are looking for the maximum, so the maximum will be located at a distance lambda by 4 from the interface. And we already find out lambda in medium 1 is at 5 centimeters. So the first maximum would be 5 over 4, lambda by 4, would be 1.25 centimeters. And the first null, it would be lambda by 2, it would be 5 over 2, it would be 2.5 centimeters. And the second peak, it would be 3.75 centimeters, and so on. This is because the phase shift of the reflection coefficient is 1. If the phase shift of the reflection coefficient is 0, so the maximum will be at the first interface. Okay. Another example, we say that we have a uniform plane wave in air, partially reflected from a surface of material. So medium 1 is air, epsilon 1 is 1, and we have material with a number 1. We don't have no epsilon 2. And measurements of the electric field in region in the front of the interface yield a 1.5 meter spacing between the maximum. So the first maximum and the second maximum, the spacing between them is 1.5 meter. Effectively, the spacing between the maximum corresponds to lambda by 2. So this means that lambda equals 3 meters, because lambda by 2 is 1.5 meter. Measurements of the electric field in the region in the front of the interface yield 1.5 meter spacing between maximum, with first maximum occurring at 0.75 meter. So the first maximum doesn't occur at the interface, it occurs at 0.75 meter. So we have known from this point that the location between the maximum is 1.5 meter. So, and the location between successive maximum is lambda by 2. So lambda is 3 meter. And from this, we understand that the first maximum is located at 0.75 meter, which is 3 over 4. So the location of the first maximum occurs at lambda by 4. So it means that we have a minimum at the interface. So if we have a minimum at the interface, it means that the phase of the reflection coefficient at the interface is y, because the minimum corresponds to phase shift y. So we have spacing with the first maximum occur at 0.7 meter from the interface. The standing wave ratio of 5 is measured. The standing wave ratio is equal 5. Determine the intrinsic impedance of the unknown material. So it is required to find out the intrinsic impedance of the unknown material. Okay. From the standing wave ratio, we can say that the standing wave ratio is equal 1 plus gamma over 1 minus gamma. Or in other words, we can say that gamma equals standing wave ratio minus 1 over standing wave ratio plus 1. And we should note that this is the amplitude of gamma. So in this case, the reflection coefficient gamma, or the amplitude of the reflection coefficient, would be 5 minus 1 over 5 plus 1. So it would be 4 over 6 or 2 over 3. This is the amplitude of gamma. And because the maximum doesn't occur at the interface and it occurs at a distance lambda by 4 from the interface, it means that we have a minimum at the interface. So it means that the reflection coefficient has a phase equal pi. So the total reflection coefficient as the amplitude and phase in this case it would be gamma equal 2 over 3 e to the power j pi or minus 1. So we have the reflection coefficient in this case minus 2 over 3. This reflection coefficient is obtained in terms of, it can be obtained in terms of the intrinsic impedance as the intrinsic impedance of the medium minus eta naught over the intrinsic impedance of the medium plus eta naught. So in this case, we can obtain the intrinsic impedance of the medium in terms of the intrinsic impedance of the free space as 1 over 5 eta naught by solving this equation. And eta naught equal 377 or 120 pi over 5. So this is the intrinsic impedance of this medium. And from this intrinsic impedance, assuming that this is non-magnetic material, we can determine epsilon r as this would be eta naught over square root epsilon r. So in this case, epsilon r would be 25. Okay. All right.